Hello my amazing subscribers and friends. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Nikolai Ninev, and I am a certified food expert and pharmacist. Today, I have an intriguing topic that has been making waves in the industry: hydrogen water. Is it really a miracle drink or just another overhyped myth? Have you ever wondered if there's something more to your regular drinking water? Well, you're not alone. So, let's find out. What is hydrogen water, and how is it made? Hydrogen water is a type of water that contains dissolved molecular hydrogen gas. This gas is tasteless, odorless, and highly soluble in water. When consumed, hydrogen water delivers molecular hydrogen to the body, which is believed to have various potential health benefits. Hydrogen gas is known for its potential health benefits, such as its antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties. Hydrogen water is made by infusing regular water with molecular hydrogen gas using various methods. One common method of producing hydrogen water is electrolysis. This involves passing an electric current through water, which splits the water molecules into hydrogen gas and oxygen gas. The hydrogen gas is then dissolved in the water, creating hydrogen water. Another method is by using hydrogen-powered machines or generators. These devices typically use a process called electrolysis or chemical reactions to produce molecular hydrogen gas, which is then infused into the water. Some machines may also use magnesium or other materials to generate hydrogen. It's worth noting that the concentration of hydrogen in hydrogen water can vary depending on the method used and the duration of the infusion process. Higher concentrations of hydrogen are generally believed to have greater potential health benefits. Hydrogen water is often consumed as a beverage and is available in various forms, including bottled hydrogen water sachets, and hydrogen water machines for home use. What are the supposed benefits of drinking hydrogen water? Drinking hydrogen water is believed to have several potential benefits for human health. The science behind how hydrogen water works lies in its ability to act as a powerful and selective antioxidant. Unlike traditional antioxidants, which can neutralize both harmful and beneficial free radicals, hydrogen water selectively targets only the harmful ones. Antioxidants are substances that help neutralize harmful free radicals in the body. Free radicals are unstable molecules that can cause damage to cells and contribute to various health issues, such as inflammation, aging, and chronic diseases. Molecular hydrogen acts as an antioxidant by selectively targeting and neutralizing the most harmful free radicals, such as the hydroxyl radical. Hydrogen molecules are small enough to easily penetrate cells and neutralize harmful free radicals. By doing so, hydrogen water helps reduce oxidative stress and promote overall cellular health. In an 8-week study of 49 people receiving radiation therapy for liver cancer, half the participants were instructed to drink 1,500 to 2,000 milliliters of hydrogen-enriched water per day. At the end of the trial, those who consumed the hydrogen water experienced decreased levels of hydroperoxide, a marker of oxidative stress, and maintained greater antioxidant activity after radiation treatment than the control group. Another supposed benefit of drinking hydrogen water is its potential to improve athletic performance and enhance recovery. Studies have suggested that hydrogen water may help reduce fatigue and muscle damage caused by intense exercise. It is believed to achieve this by reducing inflammation and oxidative stress in the body, which can lead to faster recovery times and improved physical performance. A study in 10 male soccer players found that athletes who drank 1,500 milliliters of hydrogen-enriched water experienced lower levels of blood lactate and decreased muscle fatigue after exercise compared to a placebo group. Another small 2-week study in 8 male cyclists demonstrated that the men who consumed 2 liters of hydrogen-enriched water daily had greater power output during sprinting exercises than those who drank regular water. While more research is needed to fully understand the mechanisms behind these effects, the potential benefits for athletes and active individuals are promising. Hydrogen water is also thought to have positive effects on the skin. It is believed to help maintain skin health and slow down the aging process. The antioxidant properties of hydrogen water may help protect the skin from damage caused by free radicals and environmental factors such as UV radiation. Additionally, some studies have suggested that hydrogen water may have a hydrating effect on the skin, improving its moisture levels and overall appearance. For example, a study published in the journal Medical Gas Research reported that hydrogen water improved skin wrinkles and elasticity in middle-aged women. These potential benefits make hydrogen water an interesting topic in the fields of skincare and beauty. Furthermore, drinking hydrogen water is claimed to have potential benefits for various health conditions. Some studies have shown that it may help reduce inflammation in conditions such as rheumatoid arthritis and metabolic syndrome. Additionally, hydrogen water has been investigated for its potential to improve cognitive function and protect against neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. Another supposed benefit of drinking hydrogen water is its potential to benefit those with metabolic syndrome. Metabolic syndrome is a condition characterized by high blood sugar, increased triglyceride levels, high cholesterol, and excess belly fat. Some research shows that hydrogen water is effective at reducing markers of oxidative stress and improving risk factors related to metabolic syndrome. One 10-week study instructed 20 people with signs of metabolic syndrome to drink 1 liter of hydrogen-enriched water per day. At the end of the trial, participants experienced significant reductions in bad LDL and total cholesterol, increases in good HDL cholesterol, greater antioxidant activity, and reduced levels of inflammatory markers, such as tumor necrosis factor alpha. Tumor necrosis factor alpha is an inflammatory cytokine produced by macrophages during acute inflammation and is responsible for a diverse range of signaling events within cells, leading to necrosis or apoptosis. The protein is also important for resistance to infection and cancer. Hydrogen water has also gained popularity in recent years due to claims of its detoxifying effects. Several studies have been conducted to investigate the potential detoxifying effects of hydrogen water. These studies have shown promising results, suggesting that hydrogen water may indeed have detoxifying properties. For example, a study published in the journal Medical Gas Research found that hydrogen water was able to reduce oxidative stress and inflammation in the body, both of which are closely linked to the detoxification process. Another study published in the Journal of Clinical Biochemistry and Nutrition reported that hydrogen water supplementation improved liver function in patients with chronic hepatitis B, a condition often associated with impaired detoxification. While more research is needed to confirm these effects, the potential therapeutic applications of hydrogen water are being explored in the medical community. It is important to note that, while there is growing interest in the potential benefits of hydrogen water, more research is needed to fully understand its effects on human health. Some studies have shown promising results, but the evidence is still limited, and further investigation is required. As with any health-related topic, it is always recommended to consult with healthcare professionals before making any significant changes to your diet or lifestyle. They can provide personalized advice based on your individual needs and help you make informed decisions about incorporating hydrogen water into your daily routine. Is it necessary to buy a special machine or device to make hydrogen water? So, while there are machines and devices available on the market specifically designed for making hydrogen water, they are not necessary to enjoy the benefits of hydrogen water. However, it is worth noting that using a specialized machine or device may offer certain advantages. These devices are often designed to optimize the production of hydrogen and ensure its concentration in the water is consistent. They may also have additional features, such as filtering the water or adjusting its pH level. Some machines even claim to generate higher levels of dissolved hydrogen compared to other methods. So, if you are looking for a convenient and consistent way to make hydrogen water, investing in a specialized machine or device may be a good option for you. It ultimately depends on your personal preferences and needs. However, hydrogen water can be made using a variety of methods, some of which are simple and can be done at home without any special equipment. One common method is to use magnesium or magnesium alloy sticks or tablets that release hydrogen when placed in water. These sticks or tablets can be easily purchased online or at health food stores. Another method is to use electrolysis, which involves passing an electric current through water to separate hydrogen and oxygen. This can be done using a simple electrolysis device that can be purchased or even homemade. What is the recommended daily intake of hydrogen water? The recommended daily intake of hydrogen water varies depending on the individual and their specific health needs. The recommended daily hydrogen water intake is between 1 and 3 liters. It is recommended to drink it on an empty stomach and between meals. There is no established standard or official guideline for the daily consumption of hydrogen water. However, human studies show significant health benefits when participants consume hydrogen water with concentrations in the 1 to 3 milligrams per liter range. This gives us a recommended daily intake of approximately 2 milligrams per day. Therefore, if your water has a concentration of 1 ppm, which is 1 milligram per liter, then by consuming 2 liters per day, you will ingest 2 milligrams of hydrogen per day. ppm is an acronym for parts per million, a method of measuring how much of one substance called the solute is dissolved in water or another liquid called the solvent. Converting between these two units is simple. 1 ppm is equal to 1 milligram per liter. Because 1 liter of water weighs 1 million milligrams, the milligrams per liter unit of measure can be equated to the ppm. However, it is generally recommended to start with a small amount and gradually increase the intake if desired. It is important to note that hydrogen water should not be used as a substitute for regular water consumption. It is always best to consult with a healthcare professional or a nutritionist to determine the appropriate daily intake of hydrogen water for your specific needs. Are there any potential risks or side effects of drinking hydrogen water? Drinking hydrogen water is generally considered safe and does not pose any significant risks or side effects. Hydrogen gas is known to be non-toxic and has been used in various medical applications for many years. However, some individuals may experience minor digestive discomfort, such as bloating or diarrhea, when first starting to drink hydrogen water. This is usually temporary and tends to subside as the body adjusts to the new intake. It is recommended to start with small amounts of hydrogen water and gradually increase the dosage to minimize any potential digestive issues. It is important to note that research on the long-term effects of consuming hydrogen water is still limited, and more studies are needed to fully understand its potential risks and benefits. It is also important to be cautious of any marketing claims that promote hydrogen water as a cure-all or a miraculous solution for various health conditions. As with any dietary supplement or health product, it is advisable to consult with a healthcare professional before incorporating hydrogen water into your daily routine, especially if you have any underlying health conditions or are taking medications. Thank you for watching my video. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. If you have any questions or would like to learn more about this topic, please leave a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more informative videos on health and wellness. Stay informed and stay healthy. Until next time.